What if I told you that there was a simple formula that could completely transform your financial future? A method so straightforward that I wrote it for my daughter and her husband as they began their lives together after graduating from college and starting with a salary of $48,000 a year. Today, I'm sharing the exact paycheck routine that will help you to take control of your money instead of wondering where it all went. And the best part, it still includes guilt-free spending on the things that you love. So stay with me, because this could be the most important financial video that you'll watch all year. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Carrie Stone, and this is Carry On, where we talk all things money, movement, and mindset. And today, we're talking money, because let's face it, money is tight right now. And tight times can get us off track if we allow them to. Well, I want you to prosper during these tight times and not to just get through them going paycheck to paycheck and wondering how you'll prepare for your future. If you're just starting out financially, or maybe you're just starting over, you know how overwhelming money management can feel. I've made every financial mistake in the book, and I don't want you to repeat the same things that I did. That's why I developed this straightforward system that I like to call the 50-10-10-10-20 rule. It's the exact framework that I'm going to teach to my daughter and her husband as they begin their lives together. So whether you're making $48,000 a year or something different, these percentages will work for you. So let's break down what you need to do every single time you get paid. Here's the 50-10-10-10-20 breakdown every time you receive a paycheck. 50% immediately goes to your fixed expenses. 10% goes to giving. 10% goes to savings. 10% goes to investing. And 20% goes to guilt-free spending. I'm going to show you examples of how to do this by using an annual salary of $48,000. With a $48,000 annual salary, including benefits, your take-home pay is going to be about $40,000. That comes out to about $3,333 per month. So let's map that out. 50% for fixed expenses would be $1,667. 10% for giving would be $333. 10% for savings would be $333. 10% for investing would be $333. And then 20% for guilt-free spending would be $666. So now let's dive into each category so you know exactly what to do every time you get a paycheck. First, let's talk about the 50% for your fixed expenses. Your fixed expenses are going to cover your rent or mortgage, utilities and insurance, debt payments, phone bill, internet, subscriptions, basic groceries, and transportation costs. $1,667 might seem tight for all of those expenses, but here's the key. If your fixed expenses exceed 50% of your income or your take-home pay, something needs to change. You might need to get a roommate, rent out a room in your house, downsize your living situation, eliminate unnecessary subscriptions, refinance high-interest debts, or preferably get rid of those debts. Maybe use public transportation. Living below your means isn't punishment. It's the foundation of financial freedom. I have seen far too many young people who get themselves locked into so much debt that they then are stuck living paycheck to paycheck with no hope of escape. Don't let that happen to you. Next is my favorite 10% for giving. That's $333 for this example. This might be tithing to your church, supporting a cause you believe in, or helping someone who's underprivileged and needs your help. I recommend automating this as if it's just an automatic payment that comes out every time you get paid, especially your tithes to your church. That is really helpful, not just for you, but for the church. Now, I know you may be thinking, I can't even afford to give right now. I've been there myself, but here's what I've learned. Giving isn't about being generous. Giving completely transforms your relationship with money. Studies consistently show that regular givers actually handle their money better. They experience more contentment and often see more unexpected financial blessings. When giving becomes a habit, you stop seeing money as something to hoard, and you start seeing it as something that helps you to make a difference. So don't skip this part of the formula. It might seem counterintuitive, but it's often the missing piece in financial wellness. The next 10%, another $333, goes directly into savings. Now, my priority for savings is this. Number one, you build up a $1,000 emergency fund. Life happens. Things will happen. Cars will break down. Tires will blow. Things happen, and it never fails. When a thing happens, it usually costs $1,000. So you want to have $1,000 in its own account that is your emergency fund. If you're putting in $333 a month, then it should take you just about 3 months to put $1,000 away in a high yield savings account. This money is then accessible, but it is there for the purpose of an emergency. And an emergency is not a cute pair of boots or a concert or anything like that. An emergency is a car breaking down, a medical expense, something like that, that you have no other way of paying for. So first, establish your $1,000 emergency fund. Then you're going to start every month taking that money that you're saving. You're going to split it into 2 different categories. One will be building up your 3 to 6 month expense fund. That is for in case you lose your job. Something happens like 2020 happened and people could not afford to not be working. So that money is strictly your fixed expenses, the things you cannot live without. So it would be 3 to 6 months of $1,667 a month. So that's between $5,000 and $10,000. So you want to start building that up in a separate high yield savings account. So make sure that you are starting to save your 3 to 6 month reserves for that just in case moment when life does happen to you. The other savings account is going to be for saving for vacations, gift giving, big purchases, medical expenses, those kinds of things. You just want to make sure you're prepared, because just in case you want to get messed up the way I did, you want to remember this. Christmas comes every year at the same time. You might as well plan for it, because it always ends up being more expensive than you think it's going to be. Birthdays come, travel. There's all kinds of things that you need to be planning for, thinking about in advance. And you can do that with your 10% savings every single month. So where should you keep these? I believe in a high yield savings account. Why put them in your local bank when you're going to get 0.5% or something worse? You can put them in a high yield savings account and get better interest back on them, but the money then is still accessible for when you need it. So find a good high yield savings account. Make separate accounts. Have an emergency fund, have your reserves for 3 to 6 months, and then have your account for your vacation, gift giving, things, big purchases, things like that. If you're saving for a car or a vacation, you might want to have even a separate account for those things, just so you can make sure you know where you are with those. And if you have access to a health savings account through your health insurance or your employer, I highly encourage you to take advantage of that tax advantaged account, because that is going to be tax-free going in and tax-free coming out when you're using it for medical expenses. So it's a great way to save for the inevitable things that will happen in your life. The key here is to treat savings as a non-negotiable. When you pay yourself first, you're building your financial security paycheck by paycheck, and that's a good thing. Now, for the 10%, that will completely change your financial future. 10% for investments. That's $333 a month for this example. So let's see where to start. If your employer offers any sort of matching retirement funds for investing in a 401k or an IRA, take it. That is free money. So match whatever it is that they are willing to match and sock away as much as you can in your 401k and your IRA. You want to max out your tax-advantaged accounts first, like your 401k, your IRA, or a Roth IRA. And you want to do that before considering any other investing. And then keep your investments simple. Low-cost index funds are perfect for beginners. And even if you're in a really tight financial time and you think there's no way you can invest at least 5%. But challenge yourself and try to put 10% away because you will be so grateful you did later on in your life. The power of compound interest means that the earlier you start, even with small amounts, makes an enormous difference. And remember this rule: investment money is untouchable. It's not for emergencies. It's not for impulse purchases. This is your future financial freedom fund. Please don't cash it out. Take it from somebody who knows. Bad idea. Bad idea. Finally, we have the 20% guilt-free spending. That's $666 in this example. This is money that you can spend however you want, without any shame or guilt. It can go towards dining out, entertainment, hobbies, clothes, personal items, traveling, experiences, gifts for yourself or for others. You want to align this area with your values. Like, what is important to you? Save on the things that don't matter to you. And then spend your 20% on the things that do. The key is to be intentional. What brings you joy? Spend on the things that matter to you, and ruthlessly cut spending on the things that don't. For example, if clothing is important to you, then spend on that. But if you're a person who prefers to go to concerts and see live entertainment, then save on the clothing and spend on those concerts. This isn't about restriction. It's about alignment. When your spending reflects your values, you will feel more satisfied with less. Now let's talk about how to implement this system. You want to create separate accounts for different purposes. Have one account for your fixed expenses. Have an account for your savings. Have an account for your emergency fund. Have an account for your 3 to 6 month reserves. And have your money moved quickly into your investments. Don't let it sit anywhere else, because if you let it sit somewhere else, you will spend it on things that it was not intended for. So have it automated so it goes right into your investment accounts. And then have a separate account for your spending, because you wouldn't believe how easy it is to spend money that was intended for bills on something you really didn't need. So when you have a separate account just for spending, you know exactly how much is in there and what you can do and can't do. So it will help to simplify your life much more, and will keep you from bounced check fees, because you don't want to do that. Next, set up automatic transfers on payday. Don't give yourself time to look at that money. Have it set up right away on payday to go out to all the different accounts just as you have designated. Number 3, find a simple budgeting app, or if you're like me, just paper and pencil. That's what I love. But find a way to make sure that you are tracking your spending, because ignorance is not bliss when it comes to your money. Number 4, review your system monthly so that you can make any adjustments you need to make, and you know what's going on. You can catch mistakes, and you can catch overdraft charges and things like that that will cost you. So make sure you know what's going on. I check mine weekly, but I would say at least minimally do it monthly. This isn't about perfection. It's about progress. If you're currently overspending and undersaving, then move gradually towards these percentages. The power of this system is that it works on any income level. As your income grows, you can maintain these percentages and then watch every area of your financial life improve. One thing that I really wanted to add to this is something about the cost of groceries. I know things are pretty pricey right now, and then you may be tempted to buy the cheap, overly processed foods that truly are not really food at all. I have to tell you, as a person who struggles with chronic illness, you will pay a greater price later on if you compromise on your health today. And I mean, like, literally hundreds of thousands of dollars, and also possibly lost income due to the inability to work because of chronic illness. So if you need to cut back somewhere else, like maybe only investing 5% right now instead of 10%, or maybe choosing to tighten up your guilt-free spending just for a time while you build up your finances, then do that. I can't stress this enough. My daughter is graduating from college next month with student loan debt because I lost my 40s to sickness. I lost over a decade of income because I abused my body when I was younger, and I didn't do it with partying and booze and drugs. I did it all with ultra-processed food. So you may think that eggs are outrageously expensive right now, but even at a higher price, they are still about the biggest bang for your buck that you can get when it comes to just nutrient-dense food. So shop places like Grocery Outlet or Aldi's or Costco, or even like Imperfect Foods, which I love. And I will put a link in the description below if you want to try that out, because the link will give you a discount. Who doesn't love a discount right now on groceries? But there are ways to find good, healthy food without overspending. And then just try to stick to foods that have one ingredient themselves, like rice, potatoes, broccoli, beef, chicken. Just try to stick to the one ingredient things, and you will get a much healthier diet. You'll be able to stay strong while you're making money and sock that money away, but it is worth taking care of your health. So let's recap the 5-10-10-10-20 rule. 50% goes to your fixed expenses, 10% to giving, 10% to saving, 10% to investments, and 20% for guilt-free spending. This is the paycheck routine I wish somebody had taught me when I was younger. It's simple, it's sustainable, and it works. Whether you're just beginning your financial journey like my daughter and her husband, or you're starting over after some setbacks, this framework will give you structure and freedom. If this video helped you, would you please help me by hitting that like and subscribe button? And if you know someone who needs to hear this information, would you mind sharing this video with them? It sure helps me when you like, subscribe, and share, and comment. It lets YouTube know that you like what I'm putting out, and it tells them to share me with more people. So what paycheck routine are you currently using? Let me know in the comments below. I really am interested in knowing. Thanks for watching. And remember, financial freedom isn't about how much money you make. It's about how you manage what you have. And if you want to know all of my incredibly embarrassing money mistakes, you can watch this video right here. And until next time, carry on.